I'm Dr. Wheeljack, and damn, he is good. If you haven't noticed, today's review is on Transformers Studio Series 78 Sideswipe. I got this guy at my local Walmart. He kinda just came out. He was up for pre-order for about like a week or two on BBTS and a couple other places, but still, this is a really good figure. His box, pretty nice. It's also officially licensed by GM. Got a nice look at sideswipe here, 78, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, sideswipe, type, that's the bottom, that's the other side, whoa, that's the top, and that's it for boxes. Well, actually, that's not it for boxes, because every Studio Series figure all come with a little tiny backdrop. Awesome. I'm probably never going to use this for its intended purpose until I get a lot of them, but still, pretty cool to have. And now let's get on to the sipes of swipes. Here is Mr. Swipey himself. Swiper no swiping. To be honest, I love this alternate mode. This is, from what I know, this is actually a concept car. So this toy, like all Movieverse sideswipe toys, are the only way you can get a model of this thing, which honestly, pretty cool. Now keep in mind he is a bit of a parts former with the swords here, but shh, we'll deal with that when we deal with that. The back of the car looks all nice, and if you can't tell from the little visible head there, this will become the front of his chest. And to be honest, the clear plastic doesn't bother me that much, mainly because it's tinted just enough, and the plastic choice they used on the inside kind of blends in a bit. And let's bring it in a little closer. You can also see his guns in there. And yes, this guy can store all of his weapons on him, and you can transform him with all of them on, but the guns become a pain, and the swords just like to fall off when you're transforming it, so it's best to just take them off. His wheels, his back wheels are pegged in, while the front wheels are pinned. Surprisingly, the pinned wheels do not roll as good. You have to literally press them on the ground to get them to roll, but overall, some pretty good rollage. And if you haven't noticed, all of the silver is paint. No wonder there's no paint on the guns like the first one. And this guy is $25 instead of just the basic deluxe, which would be around $20, $21, $22 here in the US. And wow, this guy has a lot of paint, and it's very durable, I might add. The only place I could say has a bit of like paint problems is just like this little paint mishap here. You can barely see it, but it's not as thick of a coat here as it is on everything else. And also there are some paint splotches there, but they're silver. It's also got a little bit heavier on the paint on the side, but besides that, that's pretty much it for robot mode. And now, let's get on to transformation. So, what you want to do is take the swords, bring them over there. Now you're going to want to splay out his wings here. And these little wing bits kind of get in the way of things, and you don't want them to underlap of this, so you got to have them in like a specific way here. Then, you're going to come down here, untap that. Then you're going to want to try to wiggle these tabs above the windshield, which this is on a very thin strut connected with clear plastic, and the hood is clear plastic, and so is this whole section here. This entire roof section here is clear plastic. I am very worried about this, but luckily, since this is a very thin strut and it is very bendable, I would say, it's also a cause for concern and a cause for, a little bit of clever transformation. Bring that up, and then you're going to want to have that, which, if it already hasn't, you should be able to untab his guns. Now you're just going to bring that down for now. we're gonna come up here, untap that, and unconnect all of this. Now I'm letting you know, getting this thing into car mode is a lot more difficult with this section since it has to clip on in a very specific way, and these bits have to be on very specifically, so it's kind of a pain, while at the same time not really. Now we're gonna get to this. This is honestly very nice. Just gonna fold down his legs and these little bits here. Fold them all the way back like that. Fold this heel up. Make sure everything's aligned. Tap that in. Do the same over here. They actually have a stopping point, so that way it's not as difficult. So there's little tabs in here that basically prevent it from going all the way around and getting like misaligned and mistabbed and stuff. Now we're going to bring out the arms, bring them out around that. And you should be able to fold out his hands. And then you can bring down his hood section. You can do with these whatever you wish. Personally, I like to fold them all the way in because it gives his arms a lot more movement. And now we deal with his backpack. Just fold that up. Don't fold it up all the way because then this won't tab in all the way. It's supposed to tab in, but it doesn't. But it is on some pretty solid hinges, so it gets like this. And like the chest pieces, you can do with the doors however you wish. I prefer to either leave them like that because it's more accurate to his model. And there you have Sideswipe. Now let's get a closer look at that noggin. Very well sculpted, I might add. Very well sculpted, very well painted, and I'm actually on the other version, the Dark of the Moon version. This was in that very Gaines Workshop bad gray that previous Sideswipe toys were in for this version of him. But they decided to use a darker plastic, and they decided to paint his entire head, which is honestly pretty nice. I can see where the budget in this guy went. Got some nice paint, metallic detail. Got that little logo there. I cannot remember what it is for a second. I think it's a Ferrari, not Ferrari, whatever it is. I don't know. I can't remember. His wrists are very tight. Well, not his wrist, his elbow. And he does have an elbow joint here. His arms are on a very, very, not tight, but more tight enough where it's loose, but at the same time not really. His hands can do this. As I said, these are a little tight. He does have a waist wheel. His head is on a ball joint. These little bits, you can do whatever you want with these. His legs, kick forward that far, kick backwards that far. Thigh swivel. Bend at the knee, bend at his second knee or ankle, and his toes and heels can move. Nom 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 nom. But yeah, that's basically Sideswipe in his robot mode. Now on to accessories. He does have his swords, which are very clickety-clackety, and they also are painted very durably. I can scratch this thing all day and it won't do anything. And how these attach to his hands is that they tab on here, and either sword can fit on either hand. It doesn't really matter. But what does matter is when you're trying to store them, and there are two ways you can, well, three ways you can store these. One of those ways is on his hands, which you see now. By the way, he looks dashing. This guy is just absolutely awesome. And as he says in the movies, damn, he is indeed good. And the swords can also store on these little tabs up here. Give his door wings a little splayed out, split look. Kind of give him some more some more bulk. And here's the storage that doesn't look the coolest, but also doesn't work that well. It works fine on this side, but this side, yeah, just likes to fall off a lot. I preferably just like to leave them to the side or leave them on his doors. Now we go into his little pew pew blasters, which these are an exact thing from the Dark of the Moon figure. Now, if you did watch Revenge of the Fallen, which if you haven't, bless your soul, these aren't the right guns that Sideswipe used. He used a more Soundwave-looking blaster. Like, if you've seen Soundwave's gun in Dark of the Moon, his blaster was like a smaller version of that. But they gave him these because, you know, double-barreled weapons look cool, okay? Now, this guy is actually pretty sturdy. Blowing on him, shaking the table. Nothing. This man's an absolute unit. He ain't falling down unless you want to fall down. Which is honestly surprising. Bumblebee here, he has actual feet, and he can't stand for nothing. Well, Sideswipe here, he has wheels for feet, and yet he's standing up there like a champ. His toe isn't even touching the ground there. It's just there. Just slightly hovering amongst everything. Now, if some of you actually notice this, Sideswipe does, on a CGI model, have two different little ankle guards here, which, honestly, they even molded in the little hole there, which for some reason was present on his model. But to be honest, nice attention to detail. And just like everything else, you can't store them. On vehicle mode, these things can become like extra exhausts, but they're kind of a pain to get to there. And how they're supposed to work here is they peg on the arms there. Which, to be honest, if you want Sideswipe to look even cooler, instead of having swords, you can have wrist-mounted blasters, which, to be honest, pretty awesome. Pretty awesome indeed. There you go. There you go. Now you can go pew-pew while holding something else. And just like in vehicle mode, they can store on these little tabs here. Now, each one does have their own special place to store. If you ever get mixed up which guns are supposed to go in which hand, right, left. And they just kind of conceal away like it's nothing. They blend in there so nicely it actually fills them out of it. Now let's give him his swords again. And let's move on to some size comparisons. There we go. Let's get Sideswipe back here. Here he is next to Red Soundwave. Kingdom Optimus. Bumblebee. And Core Class Soundwave. And overall, Sideswipe is actually a really good figure. I was expecting him to be mediocre at best, but to be honest, that sexy car mode, its sexy hunky self, I mean, we got a Revenge of the Fallen Sideswipe. Oh, this makes me happy. This is my first Sideswipe in a couple years. I had the Dark of the Moon version, and the Dark of the Moon G1 colored one. Not the Dark of the Moon one, it was the Revenge of the Fallen one. But either way, this guy tops them every single past version of this version of Sideswipe. He is an absolute treasure. He's an absolutely terrific figure. And if you see him, get him while you can. Because last time, almost nobody got Dark of the Moon Sideswipe, because everybody loves Sideswipe in the Babers. Even though he barely does anything in the movies, he's just so freaking cool. Thank you all for watching. I'm Dr. Wheeljack, and this guy, solid 7 out of 10.